Hey, Jed.
The events. Yeah. Evening.
I missed that. What did you say?
Oh, I just said good evening.
Oh, good
Assuming
evening.
it's
Yes.
oh, yeah.
Mm.
Shall I launch in?
Yeah, go for it. Yes.
Um,
Did you see the thought process that led up to that?
my thought process.
Yeah, about
Yeah, I think so.
hey.
Yeah, I was thinking like, oh, should I do some pleasantries?
Okay, yeah. Yeah. Well, you did. You said good evening. That was a pleasantry, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking, is that enough? Is that
So how do you feel about moments like that? Do they happen very often to you where you suddenly kind of find yourself floating, not having nothing, no role to anchor to.
I think so. Yeah, it seems quite familiar. Yeah. Yeah, just before I came in, I said to my girlfriend, uh, I'm just going to do a bit of Vince. And she said, oh, okay. And then I'm like, is that enough? Do I need to say something else? Can I go
Yeah.
now? What I wanted to talk to you about is it's interesting actually because that kind of thing that we've just mentioned is kind of experiential, it seems to me. Um, but where I'm having questions is uh, it seems that quite quite often I find myself kind of reminding thoughts coming up, reminding me to about a certain aspect of this view, we could call it, I guess. Um, and and I'm kind of going, well, okay, it's another story basically. This is another story. And hey Dom. And and then I'm thinking, oh well, we talk about stories, some stories more accurate than others. Um, so, and I don't know, I've got some questions around that, like maybe I just need to kind of think it through or something, but it seems I kind of want it to just be experiential and I just want and I guess I can just be in my experience, in my senses, uh, which I do quite a lot.
Yeah.
Uh, but then
Let me
what's
tell you
what's
what screamed up here. Look, I don't know. I kind of tell a story that maybe this is next level stuff, but you've heard it before, but maybe it hasn't impacted in a way that I think is valuable. And that is you experience a thought just as you experience a sense of touch or a sense of smell or a sense of whatever, you experience the act of a thought. That is an event. A thought arriving is an event, right? Now we weren't emphasizing this before. We were emphasizing that the content of the thought may or may not be accurate. Just as you've said, it may point to reality or it may point to a fantasy. There are no rules about what happens. Probably our personality puts a flavour to it, but nevertheless, and our experience, habit, you might say even, but the nature of the thought. Well, that's so we can learn to see that as weather. That's a recent story, but it's a good one. I like it. Weather. It just turns up. You can't control the weather. There's no point in being unhappy with it. You just live it. Right now, here in Australia, it's cold, so I put on a jumper and I turn on the seated heat in the car. So that's just what it is. Can't complain. No, I could stand out there and yell all night at it, and it's not going to change, is it? Well, in a slightly different way, your thought can't change because it's already done. So if you want it to change, you're talking about a future thought, one that hasn't happened. So it's a fantasy. But even though the content of the thought is purely concept, purely fantasy, we respond to it. Now, when we believe it's true, we generally respond to it seriously. And it feels like we do it justice, or we give it honor or something by treating it seriously, because that's right. There's a giveaway that says if the thought is about you, it's not likely to be pointing to any hard fact. It's most likely going to be a fantasy, a story. But that's just a clue to say, well, is this a thought that I'm happy to respond to, kind of thing, or is this a thought that responding to is
Kind of
responding
pointless.
to it could, well, yeah, it could lead to suffering, or it could. But anyway, it's a not a non-adaptable thought. That's
Not worthy
that's
of
the kind of
engagement.
thing. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's right. Right. But then the trap becomes, I've got to stop these from happening. Well, you can't. If they
I
happen
get that.
because of
Yeah.
habit or because of whatever, if they happen to you, they happen to you. Full stop. Right. So we're not trying to stop them. And this is a again, it's not so subtle, this one, but what we simply want to do is recognize their worth, and if they've got a low worth, they start to happen less frequently because we're not feeding them.
Yeah.
And other things will happen too. We'll respond to them really. We'll see them very quickly for what they are, and go again. No point. Why would I go
So
down
I
that
think
track? Yeah,
I think this brings me to what I'm kind of trying to say, which maybe it's a stupid thing to say, but um,
no such thing.
okay. How do we know? How do we know what's a valuable thought and what's one that's not of any use, other
Well,
than through our stories? And then how do
well,
we
that's
know which
right.
of our
Yeah.
stories are valuable, other than through other stories, if we're saying that none of it's really
Well, we're no longer
valuable?
saying none of it. We once said that
Okay,
in the early days. Now we're
okay.
saying you discriminate. Well, you could use what I said earlier. If they're about you, they fit on the worthless side. If they're another test that you could apply to them would be, are they a description of something? Right, and that is that they don't hold a value judgment, they just describe. If that's happening, you could put them on the worthwhile side. But
So
if
what would be an
they
example?
if they judge or make a put a value or a worth on something, they probably belong on the other side. Now, it's not hard and fast, of course, but that's
Okay.
it. Now, of course, that sounds like a lot of hard work, but you don't need to worry about that. You don't need to work at it. Essentially, if you once you get that, once you grasp that concept, that every thought will probably go through that kind of filter and get checked against those things.
So descriptive, but not kind of judgmental,
Yeah, they're
evaluative.
not meaning or value. It'd be
So what
the
would be
two
an
things that come to mind here.
so for example, what dinner's going to be ready shortly? Descriptive.
Yeah, yeah, it's certainly descriptive. Yeah, but it, it gets a bit tricky, doesn't it? Um, is there an implicit value in shortly? Right, so shortly, if I'm really hungry, means something quite different to shortly if I'm quite relaxed about it being half an hour or an hour away.
So is it whether there's some kind of emotional connection to it?
Well, again, I would put it the other way around. Immediately, it comes to mind that the experience of an emotion is another. Well, it will tell you what your body believes about it.
Yeah.
That's also very powerful. That's interesting and very powerful that you would then listen to what your body's saying about it. Right. And your body's really basically going to be saying yes or no, or I like it or I don't like it, and all whatever that the range of possibilities there. But so I wonder if there's a space in time or experience between where you think about the thoughts that you have, like you are apparently doing, and you don't think about them like it appears to be here. I never consider my thoughts unless I'm doing it, unless it's like right now I might a little, but even now I'm not, like I kind of don't even know that they're there. It, of course, I wonder if I'm doing a bit of selfing here, wondering about how that you might take that. It just I it's but it seems to be a good description for me of what happens here that I don't think about my thoughts. They truly do seem to me to be the same as any other sense stimulation. They just nudge me. They tweak a reaction in me, just the same as being touched or smelling something would.
Yeah, so I suppose I've got some kind of concern that I'm not doing it right, I suppose.
Well, let me say, yeah, I mean, that's an explosive reaction here. It's not possible to do it wrong. You can't do it wrong. There is no such thing as wrong, right? If it's happening for you the way it's happening, that's the way it's happening. How can it be wrong?
I hate that answer. I don't know why, but I'm like, fuck it hell. Of course it matters. Of course I
I
could
don't
get it
know.
wrong.
I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but geez, you got to be careful with that one too. That can also be a big trap. Let's change it from mattering to a variation in response. that happens. See, mattering kind of sounds too much like worth and value, and that's of course another fantasy. But some we respond to strongly, and some we hardly even notice, and everything in between.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so we're not discounting the impact of a thought. We're so in the end, maybe what all we're doing is reaching. It's like we're mustering cattle. Let's say there's an analogy that popped into my head. We're mustering cattle, but at this stage, we've kind of scouted all the boundaries and we've got them in from the edges a bit, and they're kind of grouping a little bit in the centre. And what we've got to do is get them as a herd and push them towards the yards where we're going to yard them up, kind of thing, you know. And we're at the stage where we've got them together in a herd, and we're about to start herding them off towards the yards. So it's like, you know, we've gone from all thoughts which were scattered everywhere now we're starting to discriminate between useful thoughts and non-useful thoughts, so that we can develop the habit of not really responding to the non-useful ones,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And as a result, when we don't feed them, you know, they'll drift off and we'll see less of them, and they'll be, you know, they won't play as big a part in our life. But for sure, they'll still be around. They'll still, every now and again, you know, we'll spot one off from the herd out there in the fringes, and we'll have to go and round it up. But that's just what happens, you know.
Yeah. So I suppose I'm thinking like in the bigger picture it doesn't matter because everything, using your analogy, the cattle eventually are all going to go in the yard. We know that's going to happen.
Well, even
Um,
when they're all in the yard, I'll guarantee you we'll still find a few that are, you know, wandering around outside. They'll turn up, but they'll come. You know, they kind of want to be in
yeah,
part of the herd, and you know,
yeah,
maybe that's the food that attracts them. I don't know, you know, but they'll
yeah.
yeah.
So some will be straggling, but they will get there eventually, I suppose.
Well, who knows? Who knows whether we'll actually ever get them all? I
Uh,
wonder if that's possible to know. But yeah, it'll go from hundreds of them down to a couple. And I couldn't tell you. I should have kept the journal or something, but I have no idea in memory of the rate of decline
mhm,
of the frequency and whatever. I can tell you about now, or when I say now, I can tell you about recently. You know, we were talking tonight, my wife and my daughter. I'm at my daughter's place at the moment, and we were talking. And my wife tells me that I'm an angry man. I'm every day I'm angry about something. I'm going off because this fucking computer won't do what I want it to do or whatever, you know. And I feel like she's talking about somebody else. I can see what she responds to, but it feels to me like she's exaggerating hugely. I have no idea who's right, or
mhm,
if it's such a thing exists. But you know, my internal experience is not that. I know what
mhm.
she means. I mean, I do. You know, I'll try and do this and get frustrated, and I'll go, you know, but it's gone then. But she thinks it's always there. That's her perception of me.
Mhm.
I'm sure the blokes at golf don't see that because they don't see me getting cranky at the computer or whatever. You know, they only see me being relaxed and happy. But that's all. Of course, there's a possibility that that part of the reason for that is because I want to be liked. But who cares? It works. They like me, I think. I don't know, really. Yeah.
So,
So you're making a job out of nothing, is what I'm kind of feeling, you know?
well, it makes me, it brings up these thoughts that I'm kind of starting with, which is sometimes it seems like I'm learning a more useful, set of beliefs, set of concepts, um, that
Yeah.
through which I'll have a better experience of the world.
I wonder if you're giving meaning to that better experience. I wonder if you're saying that, well, things have improved. See, it could be there'll be lots of little stories hanging around, you know. Like it could be that you go, huh, if I if I claim awakening, that'd be pretty arrogant. Might be that. You'd never be able to prove to somebody that it's the case. There's no way of showing. If I start talk awakening stuff with my wife, she tells me to shut up. She thinks it's rubbish talk. So, so to her, I'm just a cranky old man. I find that quite funny, actually. But yeah, but I still love her. I still feel close to her. I don't. I was talking to somebody today, and it was a big issue. And I say I've always said it in a light-hearted way. I've said it frequently that there's no possible way I can even know what's going on inside me. I can't know myself, and I certainly can't know anybody else. It's just not possible. And that seems like a truth to me. As close as you won't hear me say that very often about something like that, but intrinsically, it seems the way it is to me that we're just all
Because you
big
can't know,
mysteries. Yeah.
yeah, because you can't know anything truly. Is that what you
No,
mean?
that's right. You can't know anything, and if I recognise that mystery, well, I certainly couldn't be. In no way could I judge anybody or anything because I don't know.
You don't even know what's going on to judge,
Yeah,
to actually
exactly.
start
Yeah,
judging.
yeah. But mind you, I still have opinions and recognise. See, and here's another interesting one. I recognise that my opinion is a transitory state, and I'm quite happy and able to change my mind about things when they come. But when I talk about them, I talk about them like they're truth. They're strong. But my wife thinks I talk about them like I know them for a fact. Again, it's everybody has a perception. And it's not only that I can forgive her for that, but I can forgive everybody that because I forgive myself that
Mhm.
because I've only got my interpretation of what things are. I have no idea what they actually are. So once again, can't judge because I know my interpretation's been shaped by my experience and all my conditioning and my unconditioning, deconditioning.
Mhm. Yeah, I think what I'm noticing at the moment is, yeah, maybe this is just um, a thing to, don't know, to allow. that there's like a persistent feeling that I'm getting it wrong in some way. And
Mm.
that happens in many areas of my life.
Okay, so get this. I wonder if you think that that's you've got to change it from getting it wrong to something else.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Maybe the thing to do is just go, well, I just have that thought conditioning
No,
thing.
no, I can kind of my intuition tells me, yeah, you're just bypassing there. You're just saying, no, it's forget it. It's not. No, what I'm saying is that the opportunity in that one is to recognize that also is just part of what's happening. That also is the weather.
Well, yeah, yeah. I think that's what I mean.
Right? So we don't want to change what it's about to the opposite. We want to recognize that the whole thing is simply of no value to have. Right? Now, it could be that it's a rather fucked up way of saying I recognize that there's more. Now, if that's the case, it's still a story, but I get that there's going to be a feeling of going forward, moving. Uh, you, that's a bit weird too, that one, but you get it that it's
Like there's
kind
more
of
to see through
it's
kind of
more
thing.
descriptive than value judgment. Getting it wrong is full of value judgment. Recognizing
Yeah.
that there's that feeling of being on the edge of a discovery.
Mm,
Maybe we can't define it very clearly, but I'm sure everybody's experienced it. I am hoping that feeling of imminence, it's close, that kind of feeling, and that's kind of pulls you in a kind of like a sucks you in a direction, doesn't it? But you see, that's a description. There's no value judgment in that.
yeah. Yeah.
There can be. There can be an implicit thing that that's right and not doing it is wrong or going the other way is wrong or whatever. But essentially, if you can avoid that part of it, it's just
Yeah.
descriptive.
Okay. Yeah. So so maybe this is kind of inviting me to see a bit more clearly or deeply or something.
It's a
And
great way. Now but I wish I could give you a pill on this one because it's so close. It's just shifting your perspective a tiny little bit to that I'm doing something wrong to isn't it interesting that I think something could be different? Isn't it interesting that I'm thinking something could be wrong?
mm,
And so you see what I mean? One of them is you're inside it. There's something wrong. Oh, right. And the other one is you're going, oh, look, he's feeling that. Jed's having that thought. And it's only a millimeter away. It's just a slightly different perspective to go from that to that.
yeah.
Again, it's like the weather. It's just what shows up or not. And it has the effect that it has. Could be a cold wind, it could be a warm wind, it could be rain, it could be sunshine, it could be anything, or all of them. It's changing and flipping through. I've seen the sunshine while the rain's falling. That was an interesting one.
It's like even though there's like a wanting to change, something, it's just that, or like there's a feeling of wanting to change something. That's all there is. It's just that feeling of wanting to change something. There's nothing that's like inherently true about it. The only inherent truth about it is that there's a feeling of wanting to change it.
Yeah.
But you could separate those, and you could say there's a feeling, and I'm describing it as feeling like I'm wanting to change it.
Mhm. Yeah, and I
So and
think it kind of,
those two things can be separated then, because you might discover that the wanting to change it description of it isn't really that accurate when you get close to it. You might
mhm.
discover that it's actually something different.
Yeah.
Some people are wanting to change it from an approaching unpleasant experience by getting hungry and eating, wanting to eat. That'll be
Yeah. Yeah.
probably lots of people would fit into that one, myself
Yeah.
included. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it's looking at my phone, some kind
Mm.
of distraction.
Yeah, yeah, that's become a present day possibility, hasn't it? Yeah.
And I think, I mean, I suspect that this is a bit kind of sticky for me because I
Careful.
don't know. I, I think there's a tendency to believe the story that I'm getting something wrong.
Yeah. Now, nothing wrong with saying it feels a bit sticky. I'm just saying be careful that you don't invest power into it, right? The stickiness is coming from you, not from it. And you're saying something that's worth expressing, and that is that this is sticky. I can't think of a better way to say it. It wants to hang around, it wants to be prominent, it wants to be, yeah. And that says there's something special about it, doesn't it? It says that I react to this more than I react to other things because of something about me. Now, again, that could be a description or it could be a value judgment.
Mhm.
Same words, same thoughts. But
Yeah.
you don't you can know when you start looking at things like that, you'll automatically know. And it could be both, it's not necessarily binary. It could be not, it could be a bit of both going on, that there are, I say to people sometimes they hit a golf shot and it's a miss hit and it goes into the creek. And I'm saying, well, there's a bit of good luck and there's a bit of bad luck in that one. Both of them, you know. It just depends on the way you look at things. But most people would only see the bad in
So what's the good in that one?
it. I blew that one.
Mulligan.
Yeah.
Mulligan.
Sorry,
A mulligan. You need a mulligan.
Morgan. Yeah,
Mulligan, yeah.
I guess the good would be if they could find their ball out of the creek. Um, no, I was more meaning to describe something where there was a good in it, but I missed it. Yeah. Like, or a classic one in golf again would be one that I experienced. A friend of mine hit a ball the other day, and it was a really good hit. It really flew, but it picked up a branch on a tree quite close, a tiny little branch. It wouldn't have even been thicker than the golf ball itself, but it hit that branch, and the golf ball bounced right out into the middle of the fairway again. So, in that case, it was bad luck that he hit the tree, but good luck that the ball ended up where he could find it and not lost like it frequently would be if it hit a tree. Yeah.
Yeah. We're in the
I'm
old
just, my point is that both can exist together. It doesn't have to be, again, one or the other.
yeah.
Mm.
It's kind of like Schrodinger's cat.
Sorry?
It's kind of like Schrodinger's cat or whatever, or someone's cat. I forgot which one, but
Oh, yeah, I'm with it, yeah. Yeah, it's both alive and dead until you open the box. Mm. But again, it's a good example of not knowing.
Mm.
There are unlimited possibilities.
Yeah. The Chinese farmer story, isn't it? When do we actually get to know if it was good or bad luck?
Yeah, and of course the story can go on forever and ever and ever. Yeah. So if you give up the idea that you're doing it wrong, that vacuum doesn't simply suck in, I must be doing it right. It's just that there's no wrong, there's also no right.
Mm.
So the eventual situation would be that doing it wrong is just a ridiculous story that I'm not interested in.
Because we can't know whether it's right or wrong.
Can't know. Yeah, but it's beside the point. And it'll take us off into suffering if we're not careful about it. And what it points to, what is actual, is a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And while it's a feeling, it's got a label around it or a description around it. So if we can separate those two, we end up with just a sensation.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't really need to make a big deal out of the sensation at this point. You know when you get to just a sensation that's all you'll have is just a sensation. And so in other words, knowing that means you don't have to prove it again. You don't have to keep opening the fridge looking for that watermelon when you know it's not there. So in this case, it just becomes I just know what'll happen if I go looking. So why bother? Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm.
and then what turns up next is interesting, isn't it? I'm curious. What are you curious about, Dom?
Yeah, I related to a lot of that. The wife stuff, especially. Um, uh, yeah, it was interesting because I had a thing with my wife last night, and then the story this morning was about exactly that. Sort of like thinking you know what's going on in someone else's world or whatever. But it was quite interesting. We saw a movie last night together. It's always a dangerous moment after the end of a film when we discuss a film. Because for some reason we just never agree, like, and we kind of irritate each other with our opinions. So immediately there's this kind of like tetchy chat normally after a film. Not, we might not be really far apart, but somehow we're just gonna. So that happened, and I just tell you the chain of events was like, and then I remembered that I spoke to a friend of mine about this film, and he'd asked me what I think of it. So I went to get my, I went with, I thought we there was a pause in the conversation. Went to go on my phone to text my mate to say that I actually quite liked it. And then my niece had posted some wedding photos from her wedding that was last weekend. So I started looking at those, and Vera kind of got the hump because my wife, because she thought, oh, he's gone on his phone. And so she went upstairs and, you know, banged around a bit and then eventually came back down again. And then I sort of said, oh, are you okay? And she was like, yeah, I was a bit annoyed about you getting on the phone. And I felt like I just didn't want to say sorry because we hadn't agreed anything. It was like I didn't think an apology was quite the right thing. So I just sort of waited and like was like, oh, feeling into my body, which was quite uncomfortable. And just sort of stayed with it, which is a bit different probably than like normal defensive reaction sort of thing. And then she said, oh, I'm taking the dog out. I need to water the neighbor's garden. And she went out, and I just sort of called out after her 'cause she was unlocking the gate. And I was like, yeah, I am a little bit compulsive around my phone at the moment. I definitely recognize that. I was just shared about going onto the phone as a distraction is something I'm doing a lot at the moment. So I just mentioned that, which seemed to kind of help. But then I didn't try and fix it. And then this morning I thought about it again, and I chatted to the bot about it and everything. And I went to do meet some friends and go to a meeting. And then when I came out, I had a message from her, and it was a really sweet message saying how she was a bit disturbed by the photos because of family stuff and da 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 da, you know, and it was very sort of very, and I was like, oh, that's amazing because I just sort of didn't do what I normally do, which is try and get in there, manage her feelings, correct it, be defensive, and you know, I think that's just something that's feels like it's coming into play at the moment. It's just I'm not quite, you know, a little bit better at those kinds of things.
Yeah. Well, recognizing that is really significant. I mean, it's significant in itself, but recognizing it is even more significant because it encourages it.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and apart from that, I've just, uh, yeah.
Yep. So I'd like to offer you this image, and that is that you will go from that, you say slight, but it's probably bigger than you imagine, improvement to a place where you'll be like one of those motion activated lights, only it'll be the opposite in this case. And that is that your wife will say something and you will disappear into nothing. You'll just be not
Mm,
there. But what will happen is you will be encouraging of
mm,
whatever she's expressing.
mm,
And that's pretty close stuff. That's not far away for you. That because that slight movement into not reacting the way I used to automatically is I don't know how to put this. Let's just say it's on the way and it's closer than you think.
Mm.
See, the old way was what you might call selfing. There was identification
Yeah.
being expressed. The new way is a possibility, and that's the possibility of it not being there at all. See, nothing she says requires you to take it personally.
Yeah.
Even if she's pointing the finger and staring you in the face and saying you, it's still all about her.
Mm.
But it's very triggering, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the most triggering thing I think I know is that I think it, I mean, I could psychoanalyze it, but
Yeah.
you know, I so want to um shut that down or be defend against that, the old automatic
Mm.
kind of response pops up.
Yeah. 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 Can you see, have you got a feeling that verifies how paper tigerish that whole
Mm.
thing was? Yeah. It's like,
And also just like it's a bit hard to explain, but obviously it just resolved itself.
yes. Yeah, because you're not
That's
feeding it.
evidence.
Yeah.
Yeah, so whatever my stories were, that it just sorted itself out, and that's enough to go on in a way.
Mm. Absolutely. Yeah. And you can mind boggle it how much energy used to get used up in that stuff. That's
Oh, yeah, dramas. Yeah, it's funny because the film was called The Drama. I don't know if anyone's seen it, but
okay.
it's all about a couple and they're sort of like thinking what the other person's thinking and
Good
psychological
one. Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, that sounds good. Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking, I had a little play with it, and I was thinking the next step to my stories and songs would be to produce some kind of an animation or some kind of
Oh,
an actual video
yeah.
story to go along with the songs kind of thing. And that
Yeah, the
would,
little stories. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
even stick figures would do it. They could,
Mm.
I saw this amazing thing where the the next iteration of AI is very likely to appear as hardware, and it will be hardware, and the analogy, or the pictures that were being used were like a table lamp, but they've imbued this table lamp with it's anthropomorphized. I don't know how to say that word, but
Yeah, yeah, I think that's right.
they've given it movement that mimic human movement for joy and for sadness and whatever,
Right.
and so this is going to become one of the next um
Wow.
yeah, big things. This is Chat GPT selling you a hardware box with all that stuff inbuilt, and of course you'll have conversations with it and so on. Yeah. So
I guess
anyway,
you it's probably at the point already where it would animate your stories. I would imagine there's some,
yeah, I haven't found
you
it
know,
yet. I have to look for some software or whatever that will do that. I have have seen references to things. But yeah, I could see that, and a lot of the stuff that we talk about could be, yeah, it'll be an interesting project. But yeah,
Try a very short one, and then
yeah, they'd only probably take a few seconds, really. Yeah. I did a little animation with ChatGPT that was just some line drawings, and that worked out quite well. And I think it was about all of 7 seconds long or something. And it used oh, I've got a block on the name, the computer language
oh yeah, I
to
don't know my
I think it was Pascal or something like
coding
that.
languages.
Yeah, it was a coding language, and it wrote a couple of pages of code, and then it had this animation, and I said I want it to be a one I can put on YouTube, so it turned it into an MP4 for me, and it's up on YouTube actually. It's just a little couple of seconds long thing, and yeah, it worked quite well. But it would be trickier to do it to have people and doing it gestures kind of thing. Yeah.
It's
Anyway,
getting
yeah,
there.
yeah. But yeah, the normal sequence of things in a conversation would be that somebody would be having an opinion about something, and somebody would get an opinion in response, and they would then wait for this person to pause in the right way to put their opinion in, kind of thing. So they're not really listening to this person because they've already got this opinion, and they're saying, well, when is he going to give me a chance to say it? Oh, now I can say it, right? And then he's doing the same thing, and it's just this. It's
Yeah,
a
and
yeah,
when Vera said something, she complained about the ending, the very last scene, and I was like, but that, you know, she didn't think the scene didn't work, but when I found out what she was complaining about, it was actually she felt the scene went on a tiny bit too long and kind of overdid what it was trying to do a little bit.
yeah.
And I was like, actually, she's really right about that. But
Mm.
I'd already,
Yeah,
you know,
it's too late to change it.
it's
Yeah.
like well, no, but I mean, I'd already sort of assumed I knew what she meant and dismissed it.
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah.
You
Okay.
know what I mean? Without
Yeah.
really listening to what she was trying to actually say, which is more nuanced
Mm. Mm.
than I sort of assumed, you know. Because my story is, oh, she always picks holes in X, Y, or Z. You know what I mean? So
Oh,
I
yeah.
was,
Yeah.
so I was already sort of reacting to that story without actually listening to what she was
Yeah.
saying,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Well, that's just so amazing, and such huge potential to see that, to simply see that
Mm,
that's what was happening. Yeah. And it's not to say it won't happen again, but you'll likely spot it if it does.
yeah,
You'll spot it
yeah.
quickly.
I'm
Yeah.
spotting it easier. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, geez, we all put our foot in it sometimes, don't we? It's to be very human. Uh, again, it was an odd thing that happened to me. Again, I have to thank my wife for it, but she she said something to me, and my mind was somewhere else. I'm imagining. I can't actually remember the specifics now, but it was probably that my mind was somewhere else. And I heard her talking, but I didn't hear what she said. And then she said, "Did you hear me?" This is this is hilarious. But she said it in such a way that I could. I lied and I said yes. But she called me out in a lie. Because she said, "Well, what did I say?" And I couldn't tell her. And I don't normally do it, but I realised, and I came back to her later, and I said to her, look, I was responding to the fact that I was going to be in trouble if I said no. It was a good one. And it honestly felt like, it's certainly not a normal way I would do it. I would normally say, well, what did you say? But it just came out. It just happened like that. It was they're talking to putting your foot in it. Yeah. Okay, you turned up while I was laughing and I didn't see you. Yeah. Oh, we're so human, aren't we? Yeah, well, I like what I hear, Dom. It's good stuff. Yeah. So is there anything wrong? So that could be two questions, couldn't it? It could be, say, do you think there's anything wrong, or in your experience, has there been anything wrong? Or we start the Beatles song and say everything's all right.
Can't really know how to answer that. I sort of,
Well, that's a good
I mean,
answer.
I'm certain, there's definitely things that my mind complains about, that's for sure. But
Do they need to be fixed?
well, I mean, health things, bodily things.
Yeah, they're interesting ones, aren't they? I mean, they're like, okay, well, we can't change what is now, but we can imagine that we can change how it will be. Well, that's one possible scenario. If we said it is the way it is now, and it's possible that it could either get better or worse or stay the same, and I have no idea which one, so why would I even bother with that one? I would
Yeah, I mean,
like it. I would like it to get better.
yeah, I mean, I'm not sort of stressing about anything at the moment. So it was just when you said that, I was just looking for something to kind of,
Mm.
where is what I would call wrong, like arthritis in my big toe, my big toe joint or something,
Yeah,
there's a
yeah.
sort of label of that not being good, I suppose. Um,
Well, wait a minute. Yeah. So we can use those words, but do we mean it shouldn't be there? I would like it not to be there. It's bad that it's there. What do we actually mean by those words? It's arthritis. Well, do you know it's arthritis? Had a
yeah, yeah, I do.
diagnosis, had an X-ray.
Yeah, yeah. I had pain in my foot for ages, and then they found that it was
Mm,
arthritis. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I'd
So,
rather it wasn't there, but I'm not sort of.
mm. So look, that's a medical diagnosis. That's a
Yeah.
medical conclusion based on all of the evidence that's there and so on. And it's not to say that that's wrong, but there are other ways of looking at it that
Mm,
we know that the body can perform magic,
yeah.
and whether it will or not is
Mm,
we don't know. But we know that
mm.
if it is going to be, it's like it takes a certain skill to be in the luck zone.
Yeah, I definitely I'm more open-minded about that than I would have been 5 years ago, certainly 10 years ago, where I think,
Yeah.
how much of it is to do with state of mind, and the changes that your body can,
And yeah, and all sorts of
heal
things there
itself
too.
and things like that.
Well, see, this you could go sideways too. You could say, well, and this is from my experience with arthritis, and I had it pretty bad in this hand to the point where I've now got a stainless steel ball joint in there that gives me that, and so on. But so I know. Anyway, what I'm saying is the condition of the bone that and the inflammation that comes from that is what gives you the experience of pain in that. Now the condition of the bone can not get any better, and the irritation cannot be there, or the irritation can be there and the brain switches off the signal that it comes back from it that we call pain. All possibilities, so it's like we don't have to imagine that suddenly the deformities in the bone is going to regenerate back to something in a healthy state. It can be that we simply don't experience it as pain anymore.
Yeah.
And it can be that a minute ago it was painful and now it's not. Or more likely, a minute ago it wasn't and now it is. You see, you'll notice it when it's painful, but when it's not painful, you won't notice it. It'll be a non-issue. It's not even there. You don't think about it. So when you go back to your memory, you can only remember the experiences of pain because there was
Yeah, I mean,
nothing to
it was
remember the
only
other way. Yeah.
when you asked that question, I haven't noticed my toe for a few days, probably.
Mm.
But
Yep.
when you mentioned it, and it's not painful now, but I know it, and just know from memory that it
You
can be.
expect it back. Yeah. 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 It's again, discovery stuff. It's interesting, So I got discharged from the Navy about 50, wow, no, closer to 60 years ago with this endogenous dermatitis that I got in Hong Kong. And I came back with this condition that erupts on my skin from time to time. And the Navy sent me to specialists in Melbourne and specialists in Sydney and everything. And eventually they said incurable and discharged me. So I got a medical discharge with this incurable condition. It comes and goes by itself, and I have no idea. And I've been to every specialist, and would you believe today they still treat it the same way they treated it 55 years ago? And it doesn't work. It just doesn't do anything. Yet it comes and it goes. It's there and it's not there. It comes and it's on my left foot, and the next thing it's on my right elbow, and then I don't see it for 6 months. No, it's been around for so many years, and I tell you, there's no pattern. It seems random the way it comes and goes, and so no idea what it was. But when it's here now, it's just here. Doesn't bother me.
Yeah. Mm.
I also read this really interesting article recently in some health thing I get on the internet that said that when we're stressed, our brain sends a signal to our gut that actually kills gut microbiome. Some of the lactobacillus bifida or whatever that's in the gut gets killed because of the signals that come as a result of stress. And when we go through the day going, oh, I should, I shouldn't, should I, whatever, it's stressful. And so when we get beyond that, when we can be more relaxed, presumably things get a better run. Hmm. So it sounds like your gut should be in a pretty healthy condition at the moment.
Well, not as bad as usual, let's say.
Good, good. Mm. How are things with you, Leonard?
Mm, actually, very fine. Um, like for the last 3 weeks, I haven't had any of my typical uh, compulsive behavior. Um, and it feels like very calm. And yeah, once in a while, there are those like little stories about the future, like anxiety or something, or maybe some anger, but then it feels immediate. I can immediately feel like this physical contraction, and then it goes like, uh, no, it just
Okay,
goes
so
like,
that's your
no, no,
signal,
no,
is it?
that's like too exhausting. Like, just don't go there. It's not worth the energy. Like, um, and talking about physical or like health issues, I mean, I had for 2 years or so, I had like those ulcers in the mouth. Like, and it would be like, I don't know, like three in the mouth and two on the tongue. And it was like really
Yeah.
not very nice. And like it would take 7 to 10 days until they would disappear. But then directly, immediately after that, they would turn up again. And that was like really annoying. I mean, I tried everything. I took, like, I changed my toothpaste. I didn't eat certain things, like hot stuff, for example, or I took vitamins, but it would not really change anything. And, like, in the last 3 weeks, I didn't have any of those. I don't know what
Wow.
happened, but it's like, I don't know, something obviously changed. I don't
Mm.
know.
Mm.
Um,
Excellent.
I no, I don't really know, but I think it must have had something to do with some internal stress, but rather
Yeah.
like subconscious stress or something like this.
Who knows? But it's worth celebrating anyway, eh?
Hmm. Yeah, and I mean, mm, I don't know really how long this will continue, like this
Ah,
feeling
good
of
story. Good
being,
story. Yeah. Does that
yeah,
give
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah, yeah.
get a bit of a thrill out of that one?
Yeah. No, I mean, I have, I'm just enjoying it. I'm not
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
ask myself, like, because of course, then you want to cling to it and hold it, and then
Yeah,
it's,
of course. That's right. As soon as you do that, boom, you're stressing again, aren't you? Yeah.
uh,
So
no,
again,
I don't,
so just to reinforce that something I said earlier, it's not that we want that story to not appear. If it appears, it
mm.
appears. There it is, you know. But we can see that it's not a useful story, right?
Yeah, anyway, it's nothing like super extraordinary. It's just like it just feels like very calm, and it feels
Yes.
like um there is a different kind of spending my days, just like not planning anything, and it pretty much works out intuitively somehow. Like
Mm.
there's maybe like something I'm occupied with, and then there are gaps, and I don't really know what I should do, and then I'm just like watching something around
Yep.
me or listening or
Just
smelling
happens.
or
Yes.
whatever. And then eventually there is like the impulse to do the next thing, but it's
Yeah.
like I
That's
I'm
right.
enjoying
Yeah.
it very much because it's not so typical for what I have been doing for all of my life until
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
So,
Well, it sounds great. It sounds like it's what I do. It's life directs, life makes
hmm.
choices, and
I
it's
mean,
just is it relaxing for you?
yeah, I mean, it's also interesting because it is interrupted sometimes by some kind of
Yeah,
mind identification, but then it's really like, uh, like sometimes I even have to laugh a bit because I find it silly. I mean,
yeah,
like this
yeah.
mind stuff that
Well,
is going on.
yeah, that's a great sign. If you'll find yourself laughing at, especially if you don't know what you're laughing at, that's a
Mm,
great indicator. That's
mm,
good stuff. Yeah, yeah. If you the opposite, if you find yourself feeling serious about something, that's a great indicator that
mm,
something worth looking at.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, very good stuff. Yeah, I like that. Thanks, Leno.
I also had to, I remembered something when um, when you were talking with Dom about the pain,
Hmm.
and because some years ago, I mean, I'm using contact lenses, and I remember that I had an inflammation in one of the eyes, and I had forgotten my glasses in another city. So I didn't have any glasses, and I have like -8 on both of the eyes. So I could only wear one contact lens, so it would be like super blurred when I walked outside because there was like one eye with which I could watch, like see correctly, and the other one not. But then after like 2, 3 days, um, seems like the brain just switched
Yeah,
off one
readjusted.
of
Yeah,
the eyes, and it was like totally clear, like the
yeah,
vision.
yeah. That's an amazing one, isn't it? Yeah. There was an experiment years ago that I read about when I was doing psychology, and that is this experiment where they gave these these subjects in the experiment a set of glasses that had a prism on them, and when they looked through that prism, the world turned upside down. And so the people that had the glasses were seeing the world where the ground was up there. Siri's answering me, and it would be really, go away. It would be very disorienting for them when they put those glasses on and the world turned upside down. 20 minutes is all it took for the brain to flip the image back up the right way again. So they were seeing it 20 minutes later, and the brain just went flip, and the world was back the way it should be. And when they took the glasses off, guess what? It was upside down again for for another period. Yeah. But they're amazing. The brain can do things like that. And if it can do that, it can do things to our body as well. Yeah. Now, of course, the trap here is to believe that we can actually control that. That's the joke.
I don't know, but sometimes I remember that I could kind of relax into the pain or something.
Mm-hmm.
So it
Mm-hmm.
it would certainly not make the pain disappear, but like,
Yes, it would change it. Yes. Yeah, I certainly have experienced that myself. Yeah. and it's if you were forced to describe it, which is kind of, it feels a bit weird to say forced to, but it would have to be forced to describe the sensation of it not being pain the way it used to be. You wouldn't say it was pleasant, but it wouldn't. But it's not pain anymore. That really gets beyond the capability of words to convey that one. You would have to experience it, and it sounds like you have. When you say go into it, get into it like that, it's kind of that feels right for how to do it. So there's an acceptance, and then there's a kind of an immersion into. You could almost say we wear it differently, but that's just
Yeah,
my experience of it. Yeah.
I remember an accident that I had. I mean, when I lived in Argentina, I moved to an island, and there were sometimes like there was no electricity, or sometimes it happened suddenly, and I was having a Skype conversation on the telephone, and a friend of mine was talking about really emotional stuff. So I was really absorbed by this conversation. And then the electricity was off, there was no light, but I was at a dock, like where the boats are
Hmm.
parking. And it was dark, and I thought like, I know this place so well, and I was like, it was like really stupid because I had the telephone in my hand. I mean, the video was off, but and then I fell down from this dock onto some rocks, which are there to prevent the island from being flooded.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was so painful, and I could not really judge what had happened to my leg because it was like in the dark. And but in, I mean, back then I was like doing a lot of meditation every day. So like this space that you have in between the thoughts and the reaction was like pretty well trained, probably. I don't know. But it really felt like the first thing was really like, oh my God, I broke my neck, I broke my leg, and now there is no doctors around, and I don't know how the next days. And then it was really like I could observe this, and then it was like, okay, stop. You just have to manage the pain now. And then it was like kind of some, yeah, that I noticed, okay, now I have to scream because the pain is so extreme that I can't really contain it in my body. And then a neighbor came to help me and so on. And then in the end, but it was really weird because yeah, usually I had this tension to always worry about things when actually everything was being fine. But then in situations where you really don't know what is going on and what will be the result of this situation, um, I'm super calm and
Mm.
like focused. I don't know, it's really weird, but that was like a really interesting experience that even in this situation of extreme pain, and being in the dark and like not knowing if there is someone who will help me and if the leg is broken, but that there is like still this yeah, I don't know, this aware, I don't want to say awareness, but you know what I mean, like
Yes.
this.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it may be because of that
Hmm.
situation, the pain, etc., that you had this experience.
Yeah.
It sounds almost like an out of body experience.
Hmm.
Not quite, but yeah, it was. You say it was like you were watching that happen, like you were watching
Hmm.
yourself do these
Hmm.
things. Yeah, yeah, and of course, also, it's not uncommon for people to experience a distortion in time
Hmm.
when things like that happen. We can often, the act itself, the happening itself, will be in slow motion,
Hmm.
kind of thing. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, but then also it's, yeah, the adrenaline. I mean, I remember that I was shaking like this, like like even
Hmm.
like 1 hour after that happened. I think it was because of this overdose of adrenaline or something.
Mm. Well, adrenaline will do that. It'll have
But
all sorts of effects. Yeah.
Mm. but it was just interesting that there is some, I don't know, clarity inside of this like
Mm.
extreme situation, like I mean physically and mentally.
Yep.
Like
Yeah. Yeah. You could see how when you've had that kind of an experience, you can kind of extrapolate that to say the Buddhist monk that set himself on fire. That was quite a classic a few years ago, many years ago now. But how he could sit still while he cremated himself. You know.
yeah, I mean, but I understood it rather as something mm, that happens just like this. So,
Mm.
and yeah, my interpretation, okay, it's a story also, but it would be that this gave me somehow a feeling of trusting in
Hmm.
my
Yep.
system because I mean, it can manage such a situation
Mm. Yeah. Better
just
than
like
any
this.
logic would have it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, it just circles right back to a thing I was talking about with Jed, that we simply have got no idea about the extent of human capability or anything at all. No idea about anything. Yeah. And that makes anything possible. Well, thank you, Leonard. That was good. Talk to me, Kate.
It's good to see you.
Yeah, good to
Uh,
see you.
so, you asked me to write that, and I was just, of course. And then it was like, what the fuck am I gonna say? So I had a few days of like, how the hell? But anyway, I got it. I finally got it. It just came to me. I just waited. I love that just like when you can't remember the name of something, or you just
Yeah.
wait and it shows up. So I have the notes, and I'll get it written probably today. But I love what you guys are talking about with the body and pain and stuff, because and just what the body is capable of. Um, I when I was giving birth, which is lots of fun, and I didn't do my, I mean, I was quite the hippie back then, and poor hippies. We were poor hippies. And I was in the States, so there's no help financially.
Mm.
Um, but I had pretty much decided that, I was going to do a home birth. And I didn't have a regular OBGYN. I kind of went to this wacko guy who he was kind of like a chiropractor, but he was way more than that. And he belonged to some kind of odd religion where you had to wear pastel colors all the time. And like if you wore black or red, you couldn't go into his office. It was that. But he was an amazing man. I mean, he would press on something and he'd say, "Oh, you're drinking way too much milk. Your body, we're not meant to drink cow's milk. At least your body's not good. Like, don't stop drinking milk." Like things like that. So I trusted him. And I a couple of weeks before I was due, I walked up the street and there was a retired OBGYN. And I said, I live right there. I'm, due soon. And if something goes wrong, will you? And he said, yeah, yeah, just send somebody up. And, we didn't even have a phone at that time. So this was 78 and we didn't even have a phone. And he said, just send somebody up and I'll come down and help you out. And then we participated. We went to the non-hippie Lamaze class just to make sure we weren't missing any important information. And in one of the classes, they took us into the birthing room, which was like really bad 1970s design, hideous curtains and the whole nine yards. And
Yeah,
you could
stirrups.
yeah, but you could bring your 8-track to play your music. That's how old it was, right? And then they said, but if anything goes wrong, and they took us across the hall to the operating room. And there's this bright light and it's freezing cold and this steel table. And then they said, make sure you bring knee-high socks because they might have to strap your legs in, tie your legs down in the stirrups. And I was like, nope, that is not, absolutely not. That was the decision maker. But after, I don't know, 12, 13 something hours of labor, it was getting really bad. And I turned into a boat. My whole body became a boat. It was the most amazing thing. And I was floating on the ocean and I guess technically he would have been my father-in-law, even though they weren't married. I had really bad back pain because my hips were small. So the head is actually, every time the head does, it's pushing your bones, right? It's making your bones open. Not an easy job. But he was pushing these tennis balls into these two spots in my back. And it was like I was in the ocean and I was giving it was an amazing experience. It was just one of those things. And then when I got hit, I got run over by a Dodge pickup truck a few years ago. And I remembered that somebody had told me, like, when the pain is really bad, like, just imagine your body is huge, right? So, I had my head and neck in Canada and my foot down in Tierra del Fuego, and my knee, which was what was killing me, was somewhere, in South America. And it wasn't pain anymore. It was just this mild irritation that was going on somewhere far, far, far away. Yeah. And like you, Vince, I had a skin thing for a very long time, but it was all because I was in a relationship that I wasn't happy in.
Mm.
And as soon as that relationship ended, like within a couple of years, it just completely vanished. But it used to be so bad. I would get these bumps and itches on my arms, and I couldn't sleep. It was just driving me nuts. And yeah, as soon as we broke up, and it didn't take very long. And I went to doctors, and they're like, "Oh, stop eating this, stop doing this, blah blah blah." And they all give you the same damn cream for everything, right? The white cream that is kind of greasy and smells bad, and it didn't do anything. But I think the body is amazing, just absolutely amazing. Yeah, yeah. And I also was thinking about what you were talking about as far as living life in that flow state, right? Because since I haven't worked since November because I injured my back, and I used to think I would have no idea what to do with myself if I didn't work. Like, what the hell would I do all day? And now there's not enough hours in the
I
day.
get that one.
And
Yeah.
I'm not planning I don't plan anything, I mean, right now I'm taking care of my neighbor's dog. So I know that there will be 4 walks at some point during the day, and I have to give, certain amount of time between. But other than that, like, I'm out there piddling in my garden, and then I'll look at something and be, oh yeah, I was gonna do that. And then I'll come in the house and I'll start. It's astonishing how much fun and how easy it can be when I'm not, focusing and managing and should, I should, I should, I
Mm.
should, I should. Yeah, I'm blown away by how much suffering and struggling I used to go through because everything had to be done a certain way at a certain time. There was always a
Mm.
schedule and a tradition, and this is how it should be, and this is you know yeah, I just I just continue to be amazed at yeah.
I had an interesting experience tonight. We went out for tea, the family, with because of my daughter's birthday today, and so we went out, and there was other people there, and somebody asked me, "What have you done today?" They started off with how are you going, or how are you, kind of thing. And I responded by saying, "Do you really want me to put the effort into trying to remember what I did today?" And they were saying, "Well, did something stand out? Did you do something exciting today?" And I have to say, well, same answer. Do you want me to put the effort into remembering? I don't want to put the effort into remembering what I did today. It's finished. It's gone.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And it was like, I didn't do it. I didn't actually run through my mind the course of actions that had happened today during the day. What
Yeah.
and their question about did anything stand out as being exciting or special took me to, well, all was, but consequently nothing stood out.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly, exactly. Yeah, I remember when I first was listening to Pernilla and kind of like, what the hell is this woman talking about? Like, I couldn't imagine, like,
Yeah.
but she was saying, you're having a root canal or you're having a cup of tea, like, it's just what's happening, and there is the enjoyment of whatever's going on, and I mean, I would rather have a cup of tea than have a root canal. But, I mean, sometimes my body hurts. Sometimes it just hurts. But there's not this fighting and the resisting and the bad and the good and then I wish it weren't and all that. I mean, certainly I still have preferences. I mean, I remember hearing Angelo say one time that he could just eat gravel for breakfast and it wouldn't matter. And I'm thinking, yeah, no. That would no. I'm not going that far. But there's I had a moment a few years ago where I had this like almost out of body experience of a realization that was I never have to plan anything ever again. Like to the point to where I know I'm completely safe and taken care of all the time. And I don't ever have to plan. I don't have to ever be frightened about anything because regardless of what's going on, my whole life I have always been okay. Even in the most horrific moments, there's always at least a part of me that everything is okay. Even when I was in extreme pain or terrified, it wasn't all of me. It's the difference of language, right? So in English, we say, I am tired. In Spanish, they say, I have tiredness, right? I'm experiencing tiredness. And then in what Pali, it's like, oh, tiredness is here, right? And in the Navajo language, they don't have one word for tree. They have a tree in the wind, they have tree in the snow, they have tree in the rain, and everything talks about the condition and the environment because it's all a part of it. And yeah, I'm so aware that I'm not one solid thing ever. And I can't say ever that I'm happy all the time. I mean, there might be a mild irritation, there might be an itch, there might be something. But before, anything that was uncomfortable or extremely pleasant was better or worse than. And now everything's just, like there's little ripples. But and it's such a fucking relief to not be on this,
Frees
and
up a lot of energy, doesn't it?
yeah, and the drama and then the shame and then the recovery and then the hiding and the whatever, whatever I had to do to explain it, make it okay, all of that. It's just dissolving, on a regular basis. Yeah. Just absolutely lovely. Yeah. And look, I got to show you. This is what I'm looking at every morning. Isn't that nice?
Wow. Yeah.
Isn't it nice? I mean, that's all. Ever since I stopped working, it's like I think I'm just gonna grow lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of plants. So that's how I spend a lot of my day just piddling around with my flowers. It's wonderful. It's absolutely just delightful. Yeah. Yeah. And my neighbor, I ran into him last night. I hadn't seen him in a while. He used to live in the apartment next to me, but he and his girlfriend, they're very young, and they got into a big bad fight and broke up and whatever, lots of drama. But I ran into him last night as I was walking my other neighbor's dog. And he is, I don't know, late 20s, early 30s. And he's getting his PhD in the environmental impacts on the mating habits of birds. Which I love that here's a young man studying that and not, how to build bigger weapons or, how to use AI to whatever. So it was so delightful to see him because his girlfriend was not a very friendly or open person. And so whenever he and I would run into each other, she was usually with him, and he would always say, "Oh, I'd love for you to come for tea. I'd love to," whatever, but it never worked out. So I ran into him last night, and now we're going to get together and talk because there are hawks all over this neighborhood, and there's a pair, and we're pretty sure because he'll know we're pretty sure that they had at least one baby, because for a long time they always used to hunt together. You'd see them, right? And the females are bigger, so you know who was who. And but then all through the spring and early summer, there was just one at a time flying. So we figured, okay, one's sitting on the egg and the other one's out hunting for squirrels or mice or whatever. But now we can hear the sounds. So they're talking to each other, and I think they're teaching the baby how to hunt. And this kid can not only show me, but take me out there. And then another friend just gave me binoculars. So one of these days we're going to go, yeah, and you know how all that happened, right? Like I was at a friend's house 2 weeks ago, getting a book back and taking her some more books. And she's going through her stuff and she said, "Here, do you want these binoculars? I don't use them anymore." Well, they're really nice binoculars. And then I ran into the kids. So now we can
life does it, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, when I have the patience to let it, that's how it works. That's how life is. It's just, yeah, I love that I have pretty much nothing to complain about 99% of the time. Yeah. So, but I was kind of stumped about how to write about stories.
Yeah, well, on that one, I tried to publish the first book on Amazon, and just ran into problem after problem, and to the point where I didn't succeed. It kept saying there was a problem, and it wouldn't tell me what the problem was, and I couldn't whatever, and then it would give me this really weird error problem that said that there was, on line 2 on chapter 24, there was something, and I went through everything. I couldn't work out what chapter 24 was, and I couldn't, so I looked and looked. Anyway, I didn't do it. So then I tried well, maybe it's something in the book, so I'll see if I'll go put the second book up there, because I've got a preface for that already. And it uploaded okay. And then I went to the next step and it failed. So I didn't get there with that one either. And so I still haven't succeeded in getting any of them on Amazon yet. So I don't know why.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I know Todd. Do you know about his book of poetry? Well,
I know of it.
Yeah. So he self-published, so he paid to have it, printed and all that. But I think it's on Amazon, so you could ask him what he did, because I think he went through quite the, similar situation of having to get it up there. And I don't know what he did, but yeah, I mean, once again, it's kind of, it's one guy who owns one company, which is, where everybody buys everything, which is, we're back to the monopoly thing. But yeah, I would love to see them published. And I really want to do that kid's story. I really want to do it. I really think it would just be wonderful. So, yeah.
Well, I even had the thought today, but it was just a thought, and I don't know what to do about it at the moment. But that was to take. So I'm up to about number 32 of book 8. So that's how many. So there'll be 400 stories when in another 25 stories.
Are you doing like 50 stories a book? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah. Well, that makes them pretty big.
Yeah.
But that's what I've done so far. So what I was thinking was to basically rewrite them, or some of them, because they're all over the place in terms of who they're intending to affect, from a raw beginning seeker through to somebody that sees that somebody, and then even some post-awakening stories in there, and thought to try and, if it's possible, I don't know if it is, to rewrite them in such a way that they give a non-seeker,
Yeah.
it would start off with, they would have to be entertaining. So the
Yeah, yeah,
plot,
yeah,
they
yeah.
would have to have a plot of some kind to make them that way. But
Yeah.
then the intent would be to sneak in kind of the possibility of discoveries that would change people's experience in life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Take you through. Here you are, you don't know
Yeah.
anything and you're suffering, and then there's a light goes off somewhere, you hear something, meet somebody, something, much like all of us, right? I mean, we all had that kind of
Mm.
experience. Yeah, I would love to help you sort through them, and yeah, I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great idea. And I mean, I mean, I know you already have characters and stuff in there, but
But they're not
clearly.
consistent either. They're all over the place.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. But I mean, all you have to do is change the characters' names, right? And so you have the one person or a couple, or, one you start
Mm.
out with one, and then he meets a friend, and then the two of them, and then, they find this teacher, and then that goes to this.
Yeah,
And
yeah. So
yeah,
that kind
yeah.
of means embed everything in
In a novel,
a
kind of.
context. Yes, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And then it could be like a series of books.
yeah. So we
Yeah.
follow this
Yeah.
character or that character from
Yeah.
a non-seeker to a seeker to awakened or something.
Yeah. And then a
Mm.
teacher, and then the student becomes the teacher.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. And it could be, the circle. Oh, the circle of life. I can hear the music from Disney. No,
Mm.
yeah. I mean, I think that would be because, they want fiction, right? They don't
Mm.
want, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what sells, right?
They
Story.
want to be entertained, and to be truly entertained means it has to be relevant to them.
Yes, 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 yes. It
Yeah.
has to be relevant, and it has to be, um, yeah, it has to have all the emotions, it's got to have the drama and the pain and the suffering and the joy and the happiness and the work and yeah, and the
Mm.
growth and yeah. I mean, and now, with all of this talk and all of this, everything is out now about, abused kids, and this is what it does to you psychologically. This is how it impedes your growth. And this is all the suffering and the shame and everything that happens inside. And the only person who has any answers are you, because you can go
Mm.
to, I mean, I went to a lot of therapists, and all they wanted to do was, oh, let's write a book together, and I'll get 80% and you get 20%. And you can write about how I saved you. No, you didn't. You didn't. You know what I mean?
Mm.
That whole idea of out there is where the answer is, where it's not out there. That's, and it wasn't until I met people like you and Pernilla and Todd that actually told me that, trust in here.
Mm.
Don't, it's not out there. But that's a huge struggle. I mean, that so many people go through, right?
Yeah,
All of
of course, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
All the shit in the world is due to people being out of balance.
exactly, exactly. And it's your fault. It's, doesn't have any, yeah, there's
Yeah, well,
no
that's just part of it, of course. Yeah.
accountability, all of that, right? Yeah. And that somebody else has to do it for me because I'm helpless, hope, whatever it is, whatever the story is. Yeah, yeah. Well, we got to get busy.
Oh, well, no, we don't.
No, you know what I mean. You know what I
Yeah,
mean. But
I mean,
I know
there's a lot of work in that, but and it'll happen when it happens or not.
exactly. But
Yeah.
I really like the idea, and I think that is way more marketable than a book. I mean, I love your stories, but I know what you're talking about, and I know where you're going, and I know what you're trying to do with them. But the average person who's going to grab a book off the shelf or is looking online or wants to
Yeah.
listen to the book.
Well, yeah, without doubt, the stories so far have been aimed at people who are already on the path, so to speak, you know?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, and I mean, Todd was saying, I'm not even going to make the money back that I put into it, and I'm like, dude, poetry is like the least popular genre in language, and you're talking about like awakening and it doesn't rhyme. Half of it is just like kind of just stream of consciousness stuff. I mean, it's amazing because some of it sounds like rap. It's great, it's beautifully written, but it's a very small audience that is
Yeah,
gonna,
well, yeah, so the stuff at
but
the
a lot
moment
of
is
people are
too,
trying to
yeah.
wake up. But a lot of people are trying to wake up. I mean, you
Well,
know.
the point of getting them onto Amazon, and Apple Books is another alternative, but probably not as popular as Amazon, is that there's a lot of people out there who are seekers and that they might find it helpful.
Absolutely,
Uh,
absolutely, absolutely. I mean,
so
look at all.
in my mind, if I was going to put a price on them, I would put them at say $2.99, right, which is a minimum price that Amazon will put on, give you a 70% return on them. So at
Yeah,
$2.99, that makes them available to everybody.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, 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 yeah.
I mean,
But
and
there's
that
also
means
that, if you sell it too cheap, people. I mean, I remember when a friend of mine, this won't probably apply to you, but a friend of mine wrote a book. She was a nurse and she was writing about, recovering from substance abuse. And when she marketed it at $59, nobody bought it. When she sold it for $129, all the hospitals wanted it because it's valuable. Now, that's not true necessarily for novels, but there has to be something that grabs their eye. And I think, one person's story about how they went from, really suffering and struggling in life to waking up would be amazing. And it could be a series of books. Because obviously it's too long for, you know,
mm,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. Well, I guess the first step in that would be to go through the stories that already exist and put them in some kind of sequence like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Then
yeah,
it would be fill in the holes and extend it in both directions, whatever,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
it would be reworded so that it would be entertaining and whatever. So
yeah.
lot of work there.
A lot of work. Yeah, 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 yeah. But I mean, I'd be more than happy to help because I'm sitting here reading books anyway. Might as well read
Mm.
yours. That'd be great. That'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'd be very happy for anybody to get involved in it. But yeah, also, have you got the links to all of the books?
If I do, I don't know where it is, so resend it, and then I'll
Okay, I'll
I'll
send
get
them
on it.
again. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and you can send them in the order that you wrote them because that's probably going to be helpful because as you've been writing them, you've been evolving as well, right?
As well, that's for sure. I
Yeah,
can see that
yeah,
already. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, the books essentially are. There's a couple of slight variations towards the end, but but it doesn't really. It doesn't matter in terms of what I've written about is depends what's come up at meetings and things like that. Um, so yeah, and as I say, there's so many.
yeah, yeah,
Mm,
yeah, yeah. I mean, 50 stories, that's per book, and you're halfway through the
mm.
eighth book. That's a lot.
And I'm 10 days ahead of them being published on Substack at the moment.
Yeah.
So
And the songs, and I love that
I
Gosh.
did that one for you that I did in rock and roll, and you know what? I cannot make it do that rock and roll feeling of rock
You,
and roll again. What
you
it's
can't do
trying
it.
to tell me is rock and roll now is not rock and roll. But
Oh,
that one
well, that's
came
all
out
right.
really well. I love that one. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. But I mean, like when you did those songs, when you wrote my song, "Walking in the Sunshine" with Mom, I still pretty much listen to that every day because it's on my playlist, my everyday, just what I. And then the three that you wrote, the four that you wrote about death, they all have that kind of happy lilting, you know, and a little bit rock, but you do some just genius things. I don't know if it was you, but there's one line where you say, when I thought the thing that was trouble, you go up in a note with trouble, where it's like completely unexpected. There's so many just, little perfect moments.
Yeah, I
I would
can't
love.
take credit for any of that really.
Well, I don't know how you do it. I have no idea
Mm.
how you do it. But ah, there I would love to see. I mean, what would be great would have the songs and the book.
Mm. Yeah, how to put them together would be another story. That's a good trick, that one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
In the books themselves, as I've been doing them in and producing them in an ebook and a PDF, in both the ebook and the PDF, I've got links to the songs on SoundCloud in the
Yeah,
story at the beginning of
yeah,
each
yeah, yeah.
story, but Kindle doesn't allow me to put links in the books,
Right, right, right. Yeah.
which could be. Although I only had one link in the first book, which was to that meditation, and it complained about that.
Mm.
Um, but now I've got two other problems that I cannot find and locate in the first book. The second book, it loaded it up, it accepted it, it looked at it, and then it froze up and didn't get any further.
Mm.
So I got
But
past the problems with the first book. So there's something about the first book that Kindle doesn't like.
okay.
So
So
I'll
the
have
other
to.
thing is you if you did audible versions of the books, you could include the songs, I would
Yeah,
think,
yeah.
right?
I
If
imagine
you had,
that you could do that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'd have to look into that one. I don't know how that would work, but yeah,
yeah.
that's
Because I mean, more the people that I know who read, and that's a dying breed of itself, right? Readers, people who actually like read books. Um, but most of the people I know listen to
mm,
books. They listen to books at the gym or when they're, cleaning the house or, all that stuff.
mm,
Um, and I mean, I can't stand it. I like reading. I don't want anybody talking in my ear all that. Like, that's not my thing. But I
mm.
listen to music all the time when I'm gardening or when I'm walking or when I'm, doing stuff like that. But I think having a story and a song and a story and a song would be just a wonderful way to get that met because the songs do it differently in my body.
Yeah, yeah,
And the words go into my brain and I think about them, but the songs get into my bones and my muscles and my bloodstream and
mm,
I start dancing, movement, and
yeah,
that
yeah,
really incorporates it in a way that reading doesn't. So,
yeah. Well, another thought I had earlier, and I mentioned this to Dom earlier in the meeting tonight, but probably before you were here, was about the idea came to me to do animations to go along with the stories or the songs. Little could be stick figure animations even, but we can put really expressive
oh yeah.
emotions into those kind of things, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Again, a lot
Yeah.
of work, but whether it'll happen or not, it's another story. But a lot of work in that. But that would be another way to get a message across
Yeah.
that would
Yeah.
move people in a different way. Yeah.
Absolutely. I just saw, the group Talking Heads, I assume, right?
Oh, I've heard of them. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I
burning
probably.
down the house. Yeah. So David Byrne was the lead singer, and now he's doing his own thing. He's an amazing, amazing creative guy. He's an artist, he's a writer, and he also identifies as having Asperger's. But during COVID, he lives in New York City, and during COVID, he found he couldn't write songs. It wasn't happening for him. But he had to do something. So he started drawing stick figure drawings. And it's amazing what comes through in a stick figure. And
Mm,
he talked about how transformative it was for him. And he's like in his live shows now, what he's doing is all of the musicians are walking with him on stage and they're all interacting. And like there's a guy holding a piano that's strapped to his shoulders, and women and men carrying drums and guitars and everything. And it is stunning. One of them is on, I don't know, one of the, Prime or one of those things, easily findable. But I've been to two of his shows, and two of the best concerts I've ever seen.
mm,
And he writes a lot about, not about awakening so much, but loving the earth. And he has an online magazine that he started when Trump won the first time because he was so unhappy about it. He has a free online magazine called Reasons to Be Cheerful.
mm.
And
What
it
was his
comes out
name
every
again?
Reasons to Be Cheerful.
No, his name.
David Byrne, Byrne. Yeah, look him up. But his magazine's great. It's free, comes once a week, and now he's got a whole staff. And he writes about amazing things that are happening all over the world that
Good
are,
one. Yeah.
changing the environment and life and how we relate to the earth and everything. Yeah, very, very cheerful, very encouraging. So, yeah, some good ideas we're coming up with tonight for you.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah, so send me the links to the stories and I'll start looking at them.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do that. Um, okay. I just hit midnight here, so I'm going to go to
Yes,
bed. Yeah.
bedtime for you. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great to see you.
Yeah. You too. Yeah. Good
Yeah.
stuff.
Ah,
Thank you.
so much love. Yeah.